After months of brutal warfare, Ukraine is being compelled to find a path towards economic recovery amid the looming energy crisis, inflation, and recession to come this winter. The Dnieper River is the broad trade artery on which much of Ukraine's history and economy were built, connecting it to markets around the world through the ports of the Black Sea. But with the ports blocked and Russian troops occupying sections of the Dnieper, crops harvested from the fields along the river are being sent to storage instead of getting sold. This farmer near President Zelensky's hometown of Kryvyi Rih told us that he can't export his barley and the domestic market's flooded. So next year, he plans to grow no grains at all. It isn't just agriculture that's in trouble. In neighboring Zaporizhia, the steel mill is producing at 50% capacity. That's all it can transport over an overburdened rail network. In a volume business that becomes viable at only 80% capacity, that's an issue. The Chortytsa vodka factory makes one of the world's best-selling brands of the drink, but the cost of a truck to the Polish border has almost tripled since the start of the war. Transport is emerging as the #1 problem for Ukraine's economy. As Zaporizhia's governor put it, without the ports, it doesn't work. Upriver in Kiev, Zelensky's government is working hard to build overland transport capacity, but the scale of the task is overwhelming. It could take years to compensate for the loss of sea freight, time that Ukraine doesn't have. The economy is set to shrink by 35% this year. There are refugees to support and a war machine to sustain. The government is running a $5 billion a month budget deficit and has to rely on allies and printed money to fill the gap. That's a precarious position to be in, especially when there's a risk of foreign governments backing out. Officials in Kiev say that's Putin's strategy. Keep the war going until Ukraine's foreign backers falter. Some in Europe and Washington have suggested that all this means Ukraine and the rest of the world may be better off securing an early ceasefire. But that would freeze the front lines where they are, along the Dnieper, just 50 kilometers from industrial centers like Zaporizhia, making them uninvestable. Pushing the front lines back won't be easy, but only a fool would write off Ukraine's chances after holding off the might of Russia's army for close to 6 months. This pet supply factory in Chernihiv, a city north of Kiev that was hammered earlier in the war, sees an opportunity amid all the challenges. The company, Collar, sells around the world, from Asia to the US, where the war has strengthened Ukraine as a brand. Its newest line of dog collars and leashes are made in the yellow and blue of Ukraine's flag and have a single word repeated over and over on them: bravery.